They come from far away to work in a land that is not their own. They can be found laboring on construction sites, building someone else's dreams. They can be seen alongside the road, hurriedly marching in long lines to get to the garment factories where they work. We notice them at nighttime under bright neon lights, beckoning with their smiles. They sweep floors in the classrooms, smooth bed covers in hotels, and cook meals on boats. Migrant labor wears many faces, human faces of different races and cultures, but reflecting common dreams and goals. Foreign workers are someone's mother, father, brother, sister, and friend. But often they are merely seen as strangers, as the strangers among us.
I was in the airplane, staring out of the window as we were landing. I saw this small island, full of green mountains, and I asked myself, what am I going to do here?
While Micronesia has been a destination for explorers, colonizers, merchants, and travelers for centuries, only in the past 2 decades have waves of migrant workers washed up on its shores. Today, most of the island nations host foreign workers. They are to be found in Saipan, Tinian, Rota, and Guam, but also in Palau, the Marshalls, and FSM. Rapid development in the island nations has opened job opportunities for foreign laborers in construction and the tourism and garment industries. The majority of contract workers are from developing Asian countries like China, the Philippines, Sri Lanka, and Bangladesh. They leave behind their loved ones, bringing not only their skills, but also their hopes and dreams for a better future. They also bring a part of their world that is remarkably different, and at times remarkably familiar.
My name is Virgilio Tenco. I work as a civil engineer for a construction company in Palau. Why did I apply? Why did I pursue this job? I wanted to improve my family's life. Once I was on that airplane, I thought, this is it. Take it. Do whatever you can do. Work, work, and work. Sacrifice. We work all day building roads and constructing buildings. Most of the guys who work with me are also Filipinos. Like me, all of them are away from home and from their families. After work, we get on the company trucks to head back home to the barracks. They told me that Palau was an American territory before, so I thought that Palau was going to be very modernized. But when I arrived here, I was stunned. But then I saw the islands and the water, and I thought how beautiful it was. Today, some of the men receive letters from their family. It is always something we anxiously await, news from home. The letters bring good news, and sometimes not so good news.
Actually, ngayon sa kasalukuyan, may sakit yung father ko.
At the moment, my father is sick. My wife wrote that he had been taken back to the hospital. The last time I left my father, he was crying. So I really feel the distance now. I know I am a bit sentimental, but what can I do? If I were back home, how could I support them?
Pero what will I do?
Life in the barracks is simple. After work, we take a shower, change, and go down to the mess hall for dinner. Meals are free, mainly Filipino dishes, and we can watch Filipino programs on the cable TV. There is a 9 o'clock evening curfew, so we can't go out. We don't get much of an opportunity to socialize with the Palawans. I usually go to sleep at 11. I say a little prayer every night for my family. Give thanks for the work I do and that I'm able to provide for them. My priority now is my family, my kids. To give my kids a good education so they will not have such a hard life. I have to sacrifice myself for them.
Most migrant workers feel compelled to seek better paying jobs abroad because of the lack of opportunities in their countries. In the case of Don Vitanacci and his wife Margarita, who left Sri Lanka to go to Saipan, it was more than financial rewards that motivated them to leave home.
Sri Lanka is always war. So the Tamil terrorists always hit us. So that's the second problem. That's why we came over here.
Yeah, before I'm scared because we have job in Sri Lanka. First time I asked from my husband, are you sure if we release from our work, then we go there? Are you sure we can earn more money from that land? He said, yeah, because that country maybe can, even the peaceful country, we can go and earn money like safely.
Don and Margarita did not know anyone in Saipan, but they decided to take a risk. They pawned everything they owned, borrowed money from friends, and came as tourists. They eventually found someone interested in hiring them, but they had to go back to Sri Lanka to arrange their papers so they could work legally in Saipan. They returned, but in the end spent more than $8,000, which they continued to pay off.
If somebody like to come over here, I'm gonna tell, first fix your paper and come back and come over here, because it's very hard to find a job here.
Don and Margarita eventually left their first employer and now work together at a school doing maintenance work and cleaning.
Every day I'm doing take out trash and cleaning the school classrooms, like that. If some carpentry work, some masonry work, some electrical works, and also just cleaning, and it's very easy for me. I like it because everybody in the school, they are kindly and also they are friendly. Most students ask my name, what's your name? So I said my name is Don. Don, where are you from? They hope my name is very hard to pronounce. Very hard to pronounce. But I said my name is Don. So they said, where are you from? I am from Sri Lanka.
Don and Margarita live in a small room they rent out in a house that is walking distance from the school where they work. Here they sleep, cook, eat, and live.
Mostly we staying in the house because we cannot go any place. The main problem is money, and we don't have a car.
Sometimes we talking or sometimes we reading the newspapers like that. After sometimes we playing games. We listen to songs.
It's not enough, but we can manage it. If we can limit for everything. We wanna pay our rent. We wanna expend for our foods, and we want to send to Sri Lanka for the credit and for our parents.
Don is the eldest son and supports not only his parents but also Margarita's family. He has an unmarried sister, and his culture dictates that he also save up for her dowry.
If elder son, he has to watch sisters, and when our married time, we have to, if girl, we have to give plenty money for that boy, because like a dowry. So we have to look our family.
Don and Margarita hope they can stay in Saipan to work long enough for them to pay their debts and to save for themselves and their family's future.
I know what about my future, because I got my wife, I got my parents, because I have to care them. So that's why I always thinking I am not only for me.
Some foreign workers choose to work abroad because of the chance to travel outside their country and experience a different culture. Ichinang left China 2 years ago to work as a sewing machine operator in a garment factory in Saipan.
I stayed in China all my life, and I wanted to go outside to see this world. I wanted to work abroad to save for a better life for the future.
Chinese garment workers in Saipan are provided accommodations in barracks. If the barracks is not within walking distance from the garment factory, transportation is arranged to bring them to and from work. Most of them work 8 hours a day, 6 days a week. They do not have time to go around the island. Besides, there is no public transportation except for taxis, which most migrant workers cannot afford.
This place is so different from China. I would like to see more.
Ichinang's contract will end soon, and she has plans to go back home.
I left China for the purpose of going outside China to look around. For this, I have achieved my goal. But I miss my country. At home, I can share my happiness with my family and my parents. Here, by myself, it's lonely.
Sacrifice, determination, and often faith is what underlines every migrant worker's dreams. Faced with the uncertainty of life in their country, they earnestly grab at a chance for a better future. In doing so, they often sacrifice what they value the most: their family, their loved ones, and their home. This is Garapan in Saipan. Back in the 1930s, during the Japanese occupation of the island, this was known as a ginza. At that time, geisha bars could be found along these streets. Today, the geisha bars have been replaced by nightclubs, karaoke bars, and souvenir shops. The waitresses, guest relation officers, and entertainers who now work in Garapan are mostly foreign workers from Asia. As in other parts of the world, they belong to a group of migrant workers in jobs that expose them to potential abuse and exploitation. Jennifer and Omani were recruited from the Philippines to work as waitresses in a nightclub in Saipan. They have similar backgrounds. Both are separated from their husbands without any financial support and were left with children to raise. They both borrowed heavily to pay placement fees and risked working in Saipan on tourist visas and no written contract.
It was a chance for me to save money, to help my family, and to give my 4 kids an education.
I want to repay the gratitude of my mother. I want to earn money for the future of my daughter. Yun yung talagang pangarap ko, wala na eh.
The job opportunity they thought would make their dreams come true turned out to be a nightmare.
All I know is that I would be a waitress, serving drinks and food. But when I arrived here, my job was different. Not a waitress, but an entertainer, sitting with guests, massaging them.
Maybe on my second week, I'm starting getting scared because I met a lot of kids which is very aggressive.
I've been cursed at. My hair caught on fire because of a Japanese guest. He grabbed me to go to the VIP room and attacked me. I cried. I've been almost strangled by a guest who looked like he enjoyed what he was doing. There are so many things that I've gone through, physical attacks.
The girls were told they would work from 8 p.m. until 2 the following morning. They say they ended up working 9 to 10 hours every day with no day off and claimed they were not paid overtime. During the day, they were not allowed to leave their quarters located inside the nightclub.
I ask myself why is this happening? I'm being degraded.
Our employer didn't care if we got hurt or we got more. What was important was we did our jobs.
I said to myself, this is different. I'm not seen as an entertainer, but a prostitute. That's why I couldn't stand it anymore.
Jennifer and Omine fled from the nightclub with the other girls who worked there. They sought refuge in a safe house. Charges have been filed with the Department of Labor against their employer. In spite of the nightmare they experienced, Jennifer and Omine still hang on to their dreams of finding jobs in Saipan. The reality remains that back home there are still debts to be paid and mouths to be fed.
It will soon be my baby's birthday. I need to be able to send some money home. I also want to earn some money so I don't waste time here.
If I go home now, I don't know if I'll be able to find a job. All of us will just suffer. Where will I get the money to support my kids? That's why I think it's better to stay here so that I can support my family in some way.
The desperation of many migrant workers to get better paying jobs overseas make them easy targets for recruitment scams in their own countries. When they become victims of unjust labor practices, many remain silent for fear they will be sent home jobless. These construction workers from Sri Lanka were assured by their employment agency back home that a good job was waiting for them in their host country. Among other things, they were told that adequate barracks would also be provided.
They tell only they give me a room, that this is not room. One patient, one room, they tell, give me. Here is 12 people.
There is no running water inside the barracks. The only water available comes from a tank a few meters outside that collects rainwater.
Anyone can't take the bath, but here no water, nothing water. Then sometimes they take the small bucket and take only wash on face and other thing.
Ahmed and his co-workers pay their employer $100 each for food in these accommodations monthly. They say another deduction is taken out of each paycheck to cover the cost of their plane ticket.
He buy ticket for us, but we have to pay $300 per month. Each 2 weeks we got only 250 like this. How to pay 150 for ticket, 50 for barrack. So we don't go to other place. Then we don't have a passport, entry permit. They keep it there. Yet not give me. Then we can't go to bank. They give a check, but we can't change. Why we don't have a passport? Every day I think go to home, but other people are staying, then I am also staying here.
The abuses some foreign laborers suffer stem from their ignorance of their rights and responsibilities in their host country.
Employees should know their rights prior to coming here. I would say a vast majority of the people that are coming here paying $5,000 to come to work, as they sometimes claim, they are in some ways willing victims. They're taking a gamble. If you have a problem, a labor problem, and you're brought in under false pretenses or whatever, there's so many remedies available to you that can continue your employment in the Commonwealth. What I generally find are either people are unaware of that because of the nature of the way that they were brought in from their country of origin, that they didn't have the education.
In the Northern Marianas, more than 50% of the population are foreign laborers. Mark Zacharis believes educating both employers and employees on their rights and responsibilities remain key to easing labor problems.
The biggest difficulty I have found since I have been here as far as the employee-employer relationship is exactly that, is the education process. Employers, maybe they aren't aware of the extent of their liability. In my mind, having a non-resident worker is like adding to your family in a lot of senses. 24-hour a day health care must be provided. Food, housing, if appropriate under the contract.
Stephen Chang is a president and general manager of the Paradise Hotel in Saipan. He employs 30 non-resident workers in his hotel and knows all too well the responsibility of hiring foreign staff.
Well, for one thing, staff housing is mandatory, and that could be costly. The limits, well, the limits that the Labor Department gives us is pretty much the space, and that it be sanitary. About 3 people per room. We provide, of course, the transportation between the barracks and their workplace. I think I'm closer to the staff than I would be if they weren't contract workers. I think if they were just local hires, they would pretty much do their job and go home. I think that would pretty much be it, but with contract workers, you can't finish it there. And of course, after work, I just go home and relax, whatnot, but there's also, if there's problems at the barracks or something, then I've got to attend to it somehow. So I think it brings in a closer relationship. You try to understand that the employees don't feel totally neglected because they're already in a foreign country, and so some of them are very homesick and such. And it's their first job, and it's their first time out of the country. So I think it's important to try to understand them. I think you get better productivity from the workers if they're shown some respect, I would say.
We have a good boss, Mr. Chang. If there are any problems, what's important is communication. If there is no communication, you don't know what is happening. The employees don't know what is happening, and the employer doesn't know as well. Communication is very important.
For the employees at the Tropical Laundry Company, work can be grueling. 35 workers, mostly foreigners, handle the bulk laundry and dry cleaning of many big hotels in Saipan. The workload is heavy and demanding, and the working environment is uncomfortably hot. Yet the workers appear to be motivated.
I strongly believe that all workers here regard each other as family. And the management have achieved making them feel like a family by providing them incentives and bonuses that not most companies in Micronesia, I think, provide. we conduct trainings and seminars here so that the workers will not be limited to what they know. It's kind of difficult to work in a hot environment, although the management has provided exhaust gadgets to make us feel better. Actually, they really work hard to make all workers feel that they belong to this company.
Migrant labor is a story of high hopes and intoxicating dreams. There are financial rewards, but also crushing disappointments. Some find what they were seeking, but for most, the path is steep and winding and treacherous.